everyone, I'm Gemma Stafford, and this week on Bigger Bolder Baking, I'm going to show you how to make an entire lasagna from scratch. I'm talking ricotta, the noodles, the meat sauce, everything. Stick around and check it out. So the first thing we're going to do is start out with our Bolognese, because that needs to simmer and develop flavour and get all yummy. So here I am at the stovetop in a large heavy bottom saucepan over like a medium low heat. I'm going to add in my olive oil, a big glug of olive oil, a few glugs. When that's nice and warm, add in your onion. So you want to saute your onion for around 8 to 10 minutes or so. Saute means to soften and go translucent, but not to colour. Give them a little stir every few minutes so they don't stick to the pan. 8 or 9 years ago on YouTube, somebody asked me to make a lasagna, and I thought to myself, I can't make a lasagna, I'm a baking channel. Like, how does that fit? And then, you know, it took me a few years, obviously, but then all these years later, it's like I make my own homemade pasta. I make my own ricotta. I know how to make a Bolognese, like I'm a professionally trained chef. Like, why don't I show everybody how to make a lasagna from scratch? So here I am today doing lasagna from scratch. Our onions are looking good. I'm now going to add in my garlic. You have to have garlic in a lasagna. Now we're just going to saute that in there for like 2 minutes or so just to get it nice and cooked, but not browned. So I'm smelling my garlic, it's nice and fragrant. So now we're going to add in our beef. Good quality beef, always 80-20. You want a bit of fat in there to make it nice and tasty. Into our nice hot pan. And let me tell you a little something about cooking beef like this. Make sure your pan is at a good medium heat. If your pan is not hot enough, your meat will stew, which means it will release a lot of liquid and it won't colour, and we don't want that. Also, don't move your meat around too much. Now this applies to cooking meat in general. The more you move it, the more it will kind of disturb it, it won't caramelise, and it will also release liquid. So just let it be for a few minutes. We'll go back in and stir it when we know the time is right. I'm just going to give this a stir now because I can see it's caramelizing and it's smelling good. If you have one of these guys, it's a beef breaker upper, and they're really handy for like making lasagna and stuff. So this beef is looking good. It's almost fully cooked, and I broke it down a lot. I have a pet peeve, and it's lumpy Bolognese. So just make sure you break down any of those lumps. Now, here is my secret. I've been doing this for years. When you're adding in tomato paste into beef, don't add it in after you add in the tin of tomato sauce. Add it in to the beef by itself. Here's what you have to do. You actually have to cook tomato paste to really get it to release its flavor and to not taste kind of too raw tomato-y. So put it in with the beef, stir it around, and almost like fry it off with the beef. And what will happen is it'll soak up any liquid in the pan, if there is any, and it will completely coat all the beef, making it really tomato-y, but also really rich and just like penetrating that beef. You can tell I'm very passionate about this, but I think that's a very good tip. So just fry up your tomato paste just for around 2 minutes or so. You'll know when it's done, you'll kind of feel it. Okay, this is looking good. Now in goes our crushed tomatoes. I like to use crushed tomatoes. You can also use chopped. I'm going to put a little bit of water in my bowl to get rid of all that extra stuff, just to thin out our sauce a little bit. And then lastly, before we let it simmer, a little bit of sugar. Now the sugar is because of the tartness and the acidity in the tomatoes. So a splash of sugar in there, just a small amount, neutralizes that acid and will just make your sauce a much more balanced flavor. Okay, this is looking lovely. That is the hard work done there. So here's what we're going to do. Put a lid on. We don't want to lose any extra liquid. We want this to be actually quite a saucy sauce. When you're making lasagna, you need that little bit of extra wetness to soak up for the noodles. So we're going to put a lid on. I'm going to move it over here, and I'm going to put it on a low setting. I'm going to let that simmer away for around 45 minutes, maybe even an hour. Just let it really break down, let those flavors just all marry together and get delicious. While that's doing that, let's head over to the countertop and we'll make our homemade pasta. So while our Bolognese is simmering away over there, we are going to make our homemade pasta. Now, this recipe is my 2-ingredient pasta from my website. People love this pasta, so you're going to want to make it from scratch. It makes such a difference to your lasagna. So here we have our flour. This is just regular all-purpose flour. I'm going to make a well in the middle. We're getting legit here. Like, we're going to do this all by hand. We're not even using a bowl. I hope this was a good idea, not to use a bowl. We'll soon find out. Okay, here we go. In with our eggs. Room temperature eggs. They'll just blend in so much better. And use large eggs. It'll take around 4 large eggs or around 5 small eggs. So go in with a fork and just break up those yolks and start to slowly kind of incorporate the flour into your eggs. And by doing this, you're slowly starting to bring your dough together. So this is a bit of a messy job, but believe me, it's well worth it. You're gonna have to get stuck in there. You have to get stuck in when you're making pasta. It's part of the fun. I'm gonna go in with my hands now and bring the dough together. What we're going to do as the dough comes together is kind of also knead it gently. We're going to knead it for a few minutes to pick up all those dry bits of pasta. By the time we're done kneading, all of this will have been incorporated into our dough, all these dry bits. So for those of you who have not made your own homemade pasta before, it is incredibly easy and it is life-changing. I make it with George sometimes, and we do it by hand, and he absolutely loves it. And just the delicateness of the pasta and like the flavor and like making your own sauce to go on top. And usually I only do like Kerrygold salt and pepper, maybe a little bit of truffle oil or something. It's just amazing. So there you go, our dough is looking good. It came together. It feels nice and tight, not too wet. And we picked up all of our dry bits. Wrap this puppy up and pop them into the fridge. So now with pasta dough, for the years that I've been making it, I don't want to let it sit too long in the fridge. I just think it's best if you use it within a few hours. So I'm gonna put this into the fridge, let it rest. We're gonna make our ricotta, and by the time we're done with that, it'll be ready to rock and roll. So homemade ricotta is absolutely delicious and super easy. A few years ago, I made it as part of my Bold Baking Basics series, and it's one of my most popular videos to date. People just love it, either to have in a lasagna or an Italian dish to bake with, or even just to eat warm as is. It's super yummy. So definitely check out that video if you haven't already seen it. So here is my nice large big pot. We're going to make a big batch. I'm going to put the heat on a medium, and we're going to go in with our full fat milk. So you want whole milk, full fat milk, because it will produce more curds, more ricotta. Don't use low fat, slim, anything like that. And it also, fat is flavor. We want all that yummy flavor in there. And I'm gonna go in with more milk. Next, we're gonna add in our heavy cream. And then lastly, salt. So now all we have to do is just wait and let this mixture come to a simmer. Once it does, then we're gonna move on to our next step. So my liquid has come to a simmer. Here I have in my hand some lemon juice. You can also use a vinegar like apple cider vinegar or a white vinegar. And we're going to pour this in and stir. And this is what is going to curdle our dairy. Now I turned it down on a low setting, and I'm going to keep on stirring this, and I can see it happening. Do you see this? Do you see those lumps? There's our ricotta. So this is great. That actually happened really fast. If it doesn't happen for you straight away and you feel like you're not going to get the curdles, add in a little bit more acid and it will happen. And just so you know, in case you see very little curds or something like that, it's generally because you didn't have enough fat in your dairy. So good full fat milk. Look at those curds. Oh my gosh, lovely. Okay, I'm going to turn off the heat. I'm very carefully going to bring this over to the countertop. Join me over there because we're going to finish this off. So here is my ricotta. Now we have to strain it. So very simply get a strainer, a sieve, something like that. Put it in a big bowl or a pot like I did. I have cheesecloth here, which is super handy. If you do not have cheesecloth, that's totally fine. You can use like a thin tea towel or something like that. And here's what we're gonna do. Gently pour it in. Look at that. You are now a cheesemaker, do you know that? You just made your own homemade cheese. There we go, this looks amazing. It smells really good too. So here's what we're gonna do. We're going to let this hang here and drain. I usually say around an hour or so. What we want to do is actually let it cool down because we need to be able to handle it afterwards and mix in some other ingredients. So this is just gonna hang out for a little bit and do its thing. Now is a good time to turn off our Bolognese, and we're going to add in some salt and pepper to season it. I'm going to leave this here for a little bit until I'm ready for it. So our last step before assembly is to roll out our homemade pasta. So here I have my KitchenAid. Now, if you're feeling ambitious, you can roll this by hand. It's totally possible. However, I want like a certain thickness to my noodles, so I'm going to use my KitchenAid. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to dust my dough a little bit. I'm going to cut it into like 6 pieces, kind of more manageable pieces for me to work with. So I'm going to put my pasta machine on the widest setting, and then you get thinner and thinner and thinner as you go. We're going to turn this on and we're going to roll some pasta. There's something very therapeutic about this. At any point, if you need a little bit of extra flour, don't be afraid to dust that dough. Using a pasta machine makes this so much faster, and you also get like the perfect thickness to your noodle. If you want to do it by hand, then definitely check out my video of how to make homemade 2-ingredient pasta. And it'll show you how to roll it out and how to get it as thin as possible. Okay, I'm gonna run this through one more time. So I'm going for like roughly a 5 or a 6 on the machine. I want a lasagna sheet that has a bit of bite to it, that's a little bit thicker, you know, that doesn't just disappear into the lasagna. Once your pasta is rolled out, just cut your noodles roughly 12 inches by 4 inches. This is the perfect size for our dish. How satisfying is that? Homemade sheets of lasagna. Okay, now we have all the elements that we need for our lasagna. Let's assemble it and get it into the oven. Before assembly, preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius. Here I have a nice big 9x13 lasagna dish. So our first layer is going to be a layer of sauce. Now we want that there so our noodles have something to soak up. Then we're going to lay down our fresh noodles, more sauce on top, our lovely ricotta. Dollop that around as evenly as you can, and then some shredded mozzarella. Now we're going to repeat those layers again. It's really simple. I do pasta, meat sauce, more ricotta, mozzarella. Repeat. So now if you're making my lasagna from scratch, I don't recommend that you make it the night before, just because with the fresh noodles, they can get kind of gummy sitting in all the liquid. But I would say, you know, make it a few hours in advance and then bake it off. Also, this will freeze really well. And then for the last layer, I finish it off with the last sheet of pasta, some meat sauce, and then sprinkle over the more generous amount of mozzarella on top. As you can tell already by looking at this, it's going to feed an army. So if you're going to make it, make sure you have friends and family coming over. Okay, there's our masterpiece ready to be baked off. I'm going to cover it in some foil. And then, let's get this into the oven. So bake your lasagna for 25 minutes covered, and then take off the tin foil and do another 30 minutes uncovered or until lovely golden brown on top. Now, I didn't par cook the noodles in case you're wondering that you don't need to actually par cook them. You can just put them in there and they will cook in the dish while it's baking. Oh, this looks amazing, and it's all lovely and bubbly and cheesy. Oh my gosh, this is perfection. I'm very happy right now. So what I have to do is be patient, let your lasagna sit, let it relax for around like half an hour, 45 minutes, just rest a little bit, and then we're going to come back and cut into it. So this is the payoff. Look at that, beautiful, all those lovely layers, the meat sauce, the ricotta, that lovely fresh pasta. Oh my gosh, heaven. And it's steaming hot. I'm laughing because I'm very happy right now. I left the noodles a little bit thicker so they had more bite. Meat sauce is absolutely delicious. Homemade ricotta. I mean, who makes lasagna with homemade ricotta? I'll tell you who. We do. You are going to absolutely lose it when you make this lasagna. I really hope you enjoyed this video, but I want you to let me know in the comments below what other recipes you'd like to see me make completely from scratch. I love a good challenge.